What up, what up, what up, what up? What's going on? Oh, what's going on? Do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe. If you're brand new here, make sure you're sharing. Let's talk about this today. Today I will be profiling the OONI of IFE. So do me a favor, let's invite everyone else to the party. Just hit that like button and share. And by the way, announce yourself. Let me know who is talking. Ampan, how now? I haven't seen you in a while. Though. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Now because so we can make sure that the stream is solid, I'm just going to turn off my picture. Let's see here. How do I do this? Okay, there you go. Awesome. Get that. Bhagavad, how are you, my sister? How are you? Good to see you. Good. So let's go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe. We're kind of doing it late today. Oh, by the way, we're probably going to do 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the rest of the week because I just found out that my time is a little off. Okay, shout out to you, shout out to you. Let's see, without any further ado here, let's just go ahead and get started. Welcome back. All right, so like I said earlier, please do me a favor, hit that like button. I can't say that enough. If you can hear me clearly, loud and clear, just let me know you can hear me loud and clear. Just make sure the microphone, everything works fine. I'm gonna go ahead and share the co-host link just in case. Okay, but today you're going to educate. I have a few questions about the OONI of IFE. I need people that can educate me today. Don't get me wrong, I tried to do some research, but it looks like a lot of the stuff we have out there on the internet is just I think the Yoruba people have done a terrible job in terms of documenting our history, right? Don't you think? Right? So I just shared the link. Let me go ahead and clear this up real quick. I want to pin that to the top. All right. Shout out to all 8 people that liked. Now, if you're plugging in from Facebook, do me a favor. Make sure you're sharing. Make sure you're sharing. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, let me go ahead and pin the link to the top. Good. All right, so let's get into this. All right. What or who the hell is the OONI of IFE, right? Now, let me first of all back off for a second, okay? This is going to be a respectful stream about the OONI of IFE. Okay. Let me just make sure of something. All right, good. It looks like the audio is good. All right, let's get going. Who is OONI of Ife? If I was OONI of Ife on October 26th, 2015, first of all, KABIYESI O. With all due respect, we're going to do this stream with all due respect, okay? But there's some things floating around that's trending that we want to talk about, but we're going to talk about it. But also, I want to make sure I'm educated today, okay? All right, so if you're here, you're plugging in, make sure you're participating. If I say anything that's off, that's what the chat area is for. Correct me, because other people are watching, and then we can all learn from it, right? Who is OONI of Ife? All right, so for those of you that don't know, there's a powerful monarchy system in Yoruba land. For those of you that don't know, we actually have all types of kingdoms in Africa, okay, and many of them still exist. The picture you're looking at is the picture of the OONI of Ife, of Ile Ife to be precise. So let me go through a little bit of some information that I have here so we can make sure we're on the same page. Is that fair enough? Okay. Now let's go to his full name. His full name is Oba Adeyeye Enitan Ogunwusi. Okay. Oba Adeyeye Enitan Ogunwusi. Oba Adeyeye Enitan Ogunwusi. Now I'm going to do something right in front of you, right? Remimi Ojaja 2. Ojaja 2. At least if they put that correctly there. Ojaja 2. I think his ancestors are actually about 4 or 5 generations into the past. The last king, Oba in Yoruba land means king. Okay. The last Oba of Ile Ife, which is the religious center of Yoruba people in the world. That last Oba is from the Shijuade family. It's another family entirely. All right. But in 2015, this particular Oba ascended. Now I'm confused about, is it 48 years old or is it 51 years old? Okay. So this source, I think this source is Wikipedia, says 1974. That would be what? 74, that would be what, like 48 years old? Actually more like 49 years old now, right? I'm doing the math in my head. 17th October 1974. Yeah, that's 48 years old. He just turned 48 years old literally yesterday. All right. But he's the 51st and current OONI of Ife. What is Ife? Ile Ife is still a small town, but a kingdom. It's a very ancient city, right? You're going to learn more about that in a few seconds. So let's just get to it, right? He's the traditional ruler, monarch of the Yoruba kingdom of Ile Ife. Ife, also called Ile Ife, is an ancient Yoruba city in southwestern Nigeria, modern day Nigeria. The city is located in present day Osun State. According to the traditions of the Yoruba religion, Ile Ife was founded by the order of the supreme god Olodumare by Obatala. Okay. Now, that's religious talk. Exactly how did people migrated to, or I should say, how did people migrate, or where did people migrate from to settle in Ile Ife? Were there always people in Ile Ife? Ile Ife also has this thing between the Oyo Empire and Benin City. We're going to talk about that a little bit, right? But anyway, the Yoruba religion. Okay, so yeah, just in case you didn't know, Yoruba is also a religion. It's practiced all around the world, especially in a lot of places in the South America. Funny enough, not too like the population of Yoruba people in Yoruba land that are practicing Yoruba religion today, they are probably significantly less than the people practicing the religion all around the world, right? But some more people are starting to get more enlightened and say, you know what, this white people religion, maybe it's good to leverage their technology. Maybe we should go back to the beginning, right? So that word right there, Isheshe, Dodore, Isheshe, Yoruba Isheshe. Yoruba religion is called Isheshe apparently. I've never seen that before. I'm saying that for the first time, just with you, right? Comprises the traditional religious and spiritual concepts. I think it's more so spiritual, but a lot of people use that interchangeably, right? And practice of the Yoruba people. The Yoruba people, Iran Yoruba, in Yoruba land we call it Iran Yoruba. That means the Yoruba ancestry, right? Omo Odudua, Omo Karo Ojire, right? Are a West African ethnic group. Okay, Yoruba people transcends beyond the borders of Nigeria, by the way, which what we heard was that Lord Lugard's girlfriend created that thing we call Nigeria today. So beyond that, Yoruba people goes beyond that into Benin, into Togo, into more to the countries that are bordering Nigeria on the west side. That mainly inhabits parts of Nigeria. There you go, Benin and Togo, right? By the 8th century, a powerful kingdom already existed in Ile-Ife. It's still a small town, okay? I think I saw somewhere it says it has about 500,000 people. Honestly, I doubt that very much. It's still maybe Ile-Ife is not that small, but it's a small town. But it's one of the earliest in terms of kingdom in Africa. Every kingdom was that small, okay? Oral history recorded under the Oyo Empire, which became, from an historical standpoint, has become some kind of competition in terms of what's the authority for the Yoruba people, right? What's the authority? Now, you guys can educate me on this. Which one is more of the authority empire for the Yoruba people? Is it Oyo or Ile-Ife? Right? But anyway, we knew that from an economical standpoint, Oyo Empire was much larger at some point than the Ile-Ife, right? But anyway, under the Oyo Empire derives the Yoruba as an ethnic group from the population of the older kingdom of Ile-Ife. So the kingdom of Ile-Ife was somewhat older, at least from a discovery standpoint. The Oyo Empire was a powerful Yoruba empire of West Africa, made up of parts of present-day eastern Benin and western Nigeria. Yes, we're still going to talk about all of these wives that this man has. Apparently, reportedly, he's just married about 4 different wives within the last few days to few weeks. So we're going to talk about it, right? Well, I have like 7 questions around that, right? And then I'll give you my own opinion, of course, right? You know, you never have to struggle for my own opinion, right? But anyway, made up of parts of present-day eastern Benin and western Nigeria. That's the whole Yoruba Empire. So Oyo Empire was a powerful Yoruba empire of West. So Oyo Empire wasn't just the Oyo city. There's the Oyo city today, right? It was an empire made up of parts of present-day eastern Benin, right? I think it has to do with the reason why up to today, till today, the title of the king of Benin City is Oba. They call him Oba of Benin, even though they primarily don't speak Yoruba language. Okay, now I won't speak too much to that because I don't know the full details of that. The only little bit I know is that majority of Benin people today, they speak mostly Pidgin. They have their own language. but they also have a Oba of Benin. But we also know that they have a Olu of Wari. A lot of those things had to do with conquering those settlements back then. Those people had their own people, and their own people that they had is still very, very strong. But again, it's all about who is the most powerful, who is conquering, who is owning the territory from an economical standpoint, from the standpoint of who's the most powerful, who has the most power in terms of invading and conquering those settlements back then, right? So it says Eastern Benin and Western Nigeria, including Southwest Zone and the western half of North Central Zone. All right, what's going on, Lady Navoa? Good to see you. Good to see you. Bagavad says Brazil has the highest outside of Nigeria. Yes, they worship the Olodumare through the Yoruba religion, heavy in Brazil. But I think they may have some things going on in Colombia, I think, and a few other countries down there. All right. The Oyo Empire grew to become the largest Yoruba-speaking state and rose through the outstanding organizational and administrative skills of the Yoruba people. There are many people born today that I've never heard it before, that the Oyo Empire was in fact an administrative state, okay, that traded with the rest of the world. Wealth gained from trade and a powerful cavalry. The Oyo Empire was one of the most politically important states in the entirety of West Africa from the mid 17th to the late 18th century. There are many people that are living today that didn't know that Nigeria did not exist before the 20th century. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this video, is to educate you, or educate ourselves rather. Let's just be aware that we are a people, we came from a place, and there's a lot more to learn. We've done, as a race of people, we've done a terrible job of keeping track of our own history. So there's limitations to what we know, but the little we know, let's continue to shed more light on it. Tell the story to your kids, tell it to someone, right? A lot of the things that we are covering that we call history today is stuff that's read by white people, unfortunately. That's unfortunate, because how can you really trust that, right? It held sway not only over most of the other kingdoms. The source of this is through Wikipedia and to other sources, okay? So just so you know, you can find this information out there. You'll find some conflicting information. Nonetheless, there's some information out there, and you can make up your mind on what makes sense and what doesn't make sense based on what we know today, right? In fact, I took a Yoruba class, I think it was in GSS 2 or 3. What I learned at the time was that I should forget all that story in the Bible about Adam and Eve, right? That actually the whole world started from Ile-Ife. And there was some conflicting stuff that said, okay, Oduduwa migrated from Mecca. Which one is true? We don't know. Okay. Now, I know what makes sense to me. What makes sense to me is that there have always been people that settled in that area in Ile-Ife. Honestly, I would argue that it's long before Oduduwa, who we know as the deity of the Yoruba people or the Yoruba religion today. He just so happened to be the most powerful person that spread words or news about that kingdom around the world. And that's the way these things work, right? Everything that happened before the person that started documenting stuff, you can forget it. It never existed, right? And that's the reality. And we have to be careful with that. So as much as possible, you want to be documenting what you know, because there just may never be another person who will do it, right? but also over nearby African states, notably the Fawn Kingdom of Dahomey in the modern Republic of Benin on its west. Now, I'm yet to see the King Woman. I want to see it. I want to see what people are talking about. So please don't spoil it for me. I will try to get my way to it and watch it. I heard that there's some things about the Dahomey Kingdom in that movie. Now, quickly before we get into the Alayelua, Iku Baba Yeye, the Oba OONI of Ife, right? KABIYESI O, right? Before we get into his love life, let's talk about the significance of the relationship between Oyo, Ife, and Benin. Ife never became. Ife is the original. It never became any type of political or economical power in terms of an empire. It just never became that. But either you're talking about Oyo or the legacy of Benin, you can't talk about these things without talking about Ife. Now, with all due respect, I want you to understand that every single one of these different kingdoms, they had people that were settled there. They had their own administration before somebody came and said, let me help you. Okay, you won't let me help you. Let me invade you and take over. That's how these things worked back then. Okay, and then when they take over, they get to write whatever they want in the history, right? And that's what you're probably carrying around and running around town, right? But I know that people were settled in all these different places before the most popular, either you want to call it deity or power or empire, people took over, and then call it whatever they want to call it. There were people there, just like United States of America. It's nothing new there, right? That's the way that the world that we live in has evolved over centuries upon centuries upon centuries to get to where we are today. Unfortunately, there are just some things we will never know. Okay? That's the fact. All right. Now, today, we might just keep it very short because, again, this is more of me profiling OONI of Ife. OONI of Ife, I have a question for you, okay? If you can please participate, I'll give you about 30 seconds, then I'll give you my opinion, okay? I've got 7 questions that I want us to cover really quickly to understand all the viral news that you've seen all over the place about the OONI of Ife, especially with respect to his romantic life, okay? Let's get into it. Okay, then I will go. If I have a little bit of time, I will still go into. I will go into the Wikipedia page and see if there's some stuff that makes sense from there. Right? Is the OONI a person or an institution? What do you think? In the grand scheme of things, okay, obviously there's a face to it. We know that there's a man, or there was a man who was Mr. Ogunwusi before, right? But in your opinion, is the OONI a person or an institution? What are your thoughts? Let me see what you have to say about this really quickly. All right, so the answer is the OONI is an institution. You can't really speak about the OONI like you're talking about one person. It won't add up. It just won't make any sense. Okay? It won't make any sense. We're talking about an ancestry of people that goes as far back as 8th century BC, before Christ. as in documented stuff, right? If you dig in, you'll find them. Okay. Okay. That the reason why that particular town will probably never get bigger than it is, outside of the fact that the Obafemi Awolowo University is there. It's probably a local government that is, I forgot the name of the local government area, right? The reason is because, because of the religious and spiritual. You can't mix that together with the idea of a state, right? Or with monetary gains or economical. You mix that up, they don't combine together, right? The only thing it can be is a source. Exactly what it is today. A source of spiritual empowerment, whatever you want to call it. People will go far and wide. People become Christians, they become Muslims, they join Islam, they join all type of religion out there, right? And sometimes some people will say, you know what? Shout out to Franklin. Yeah, Franklin TV, right? Some people will just say, you know what? I feel like something is missing. I need to go back to my source. And they will start worshiping Ifa, which is the primary deity that kingdom basically source everything from. All right. So the Oni, we already know is a title of the king of that kingdom, right? But if we want to talk about this, I'll go and dig up some of the orikis, right? And then you understand that this is much more bigger than some man that's practicing polygamy. It's not that simple. Okay? It's not that simple. Okay? And to be honest with you, I don't think the Oni himself, right? The Arole Odua himself, I don't think he really understood what he got himself into. He was still trying to operate like a modern man. He wanted to show face and do, that one man married, one wife thing, right? By the way, there are many kings that are doing that these days, right? But it's also easier for them to do it because it's a random village somewhere that's, they just started, appreciating or recognizing them as their own little empire in the past maybe 20 years, right? We're talking about hundreds of years here, okay? So it will never be as simple as trying to compare it to a single individual. How come he didn't do? No, it will never be that simple. It's not that simple. In fact, it's more of the reason why this kind of news goes viral, right? Right? So every little thing that happened in his household becomes a tabloid topic. Okay, so there's nothing new about that, by the way. Before there was what we have today as technology, everything that happens with any type of huge monarchy like this, that's always been like point of interest for an average person, right? You recall just a few weeks ago we were talking about the passing of the Queen of England, right? It's really not that different. It's not about the size of the city. How big is the whole of London or the whole of England or UK? It's not about that, right? It's not about that. When we're talking about royalty, you need to apply respect when you're assessing things, all right? So with that being said, my next question is, has social media changed the way we respect the throne? In my opinion, no. It hasn't changed. The only thing that changed is the size of media or the accessibility of media to the regular person, right? Anybody can get on any type of video and leave comments and chat. Anyone, forget about that. Anyone can buy a microphone and start talking on YouTube, and they're funny enough, and before you know, people start listening to them, right? So from way back in the days, there's always been some type of medium, a way for the throne to announce and talk to the people and encourage the people, lead the people, take people out to war and dominate other locations, other settlements and stuff like that, right? But there's always been some type of tabloid activities, gossip activities, like who's the new person, who's the new wife, Tani Ayo, Tani Yawo, Tani Olori Tito. That she Kabiyesi wá sí, Kabiyesi máa ń dọ́jú wá ṣe, of course. There's nothing new under the sun. The only difference is the size of media and the accessibility of media. It's not that different. So yeah, that's something you should keep at the back of your mind when you're talking about this topic. Now, let's get into some of the questions that I'm sure you want to know what my opinions are about, right? Number 3, my third question. Why would a woman, maybe I should change that, the modern woman, why would a woman want to be with an OONI? See, I just said an OONI because it's not about the person of Oba Ogunwusi. It's about that throne, right? So I want you to rethink it when we were talking about this. I want you to think about it deeply. Why would a typical woman want to be with an OONI? Right? Why would anyone want that level of attention? No. Let's slow it all the way down. It's not that simple, right? It's about a girl, right? Or a young lady who is sitting jejely in her house and somebody come and say, the OONI. Not an OONI now, right? The OONI, because there's only one of them at any one period in time, right? Wants to talk to you. Forget want you in a romantic way, right? Just want to talk to you. Let's forget about woman for a second. Even you as a man, right? Somebody come and tap on your shoulder and said, the OONI of Ile-Ife. Even if you've never heard of the kingdom of Ile-Ife before you Google Ile-Ife, before you see the story there, right? Somebody said the OONI want to talk to you, right? What does that do to you at an emotional level? Never mind, it's not a big deal. No, never mind any of that right now. Calm down. You're a human being like the rest of us, right? What would that do to you at an emotional level? Right? A whole me. Okay, now let's go back to the woman. How much more a woman? Even if you're, let me even tell you like this. Even if you're somebody else's wife, let's not cap, right? Let's not cap. Remember what I said. Remember the first question I asked. Is the OONI a person or an institution? Right? So again, it's not as simple as, no, you're not going to have time to think about all the intricacies of what that means. And this leads to some of the mistakes I think that the royalty has made in trying to choose for him, right? The modern woman, the average modern woman is not a fit for that position. It's just not. They could never be prepared enough for what comes with this level of, I don't know what word to use for it. It's huge. So the answer to the question is that, first of all, every woman will want to be with an OONI. Every woman. Is it feasible? No, that's the idea. It's not going to be feasible for most women, right? There's only certain type of women that should be able to get into that position in the first place. Okay, especially if we're talking about the first wife. Okay, there's the first wife and there's many other wives, right? It's not about polygamy or monogamy. It has nothing to do with none of that, right? This is not going to be your typical household. It's not your typical face me, I slap you household. Okay, we're talking about the palace of the OONI of Ife. Arguably the most important kingdom in the whole of Africa. You feel me? All right, now, why would a woman want to be with an OONI? I mean, you could feel free to answer that how you want, but my answer is that every woman would want to be with an OONI. Maybe not necessarily romantically, maybe as you know, even just a tap on the shoulder. It's a big deal. Any woman will be intrigued to know that the OONI want to speak to her. So I see all the cap all over the internet. No, I can't deal with that. No, I can't do that. Listen, I understand if somebody is coming from that world and they say, I know the negative of that world, I don't want to be in it. I understand that part. But for an average person who has never been in royalty, stop the cap. Okay? I do have more questions. I have more questions. Now, why would a woman want to leave OONI? Let's talk about this part. Okay. So while we're talking about that, the young lady you're looking at on the screen right now, not this one, not this one, not this one. This is the new wife. This is the new wife, Miriam, right? Okay, there's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I guess. Okay, this is another new wife. This is Ashley, I think. Okay, this one right here, she recently served the Oba breakfast. She left him after having one baby boy. She was a prophetess. This lady right here, right? So this lady right here, right? She left him. And that's why I'm asking the question. Why would a woman want to leave OONI? Why? Tell me why, oh why? Why would a woman want to leave OONI? Well, here's the thing. It goes back to the first question. Why would a woman want to be with OONI? Well, first of all, that status can create an illusion that you can be safe and secure, not just secure physically, safe or anything like that. We're talking about from many other dimensions, not just physically, right? Financially, status-wise, in society, maybe protection-wise. I mean, you are the wife of the OONI, right? It really all goes back down to feeling safe and secure, right? It's an illusion. It doesn't necessarily mean you're safe, but hey, we'll find out later. So now, speaking of finding out later, right? When a woman gets with an OONI of Ife, it's not as simple as just getting married and you move into somebody's house, as you can imagine. There are a lot of spiritual intricacies to that. It's a heavy weight. It's a lot of responsibilities that comes with that. It's not as simple as you're just somebody's wife, especially if you're a first wife, which is what this Queen Naomi, that's her name, Queen Naomi represented. She was like a first wife. She was supposed to be the face of all of the different wives if there were any other ones, right? There are things that will happen if you're a modern woman that you will suddenly stop feeling, you won't feel as safe. You just won't feel as safe as, you would feel when you consider the context of the modern times. So for example, she was a prophetess, right? There was a picture that was floating around one time. Her feet was washed with some kind of blood or something like that. Some kind of ritualistic stuff. And she was supposed to be a prophet in the Church of Christ. Yeah, that's been unequally yoked. It was only a matter of time. She couldn't last in that position. Okay? There was no way she could last in that position. So I'll tell you right now, an average modern woman will not last in that position. They will be attracted to it. They would enter that place, yes. They would take their modern ass into that place, but it won't last. Because in that kingdom, when you get there, they're going to have a lot of different weird, yes, weird with respect to the times that we live in right now, practices, rituals, right? Etutu, Wongbebo, festivals, fetish with respect to the times that we live in right now. Most women in this time and age cannot handle it. By the time they leave, they spend the first night, second night, they will start having weird dreams in the middle of the night. Okay, it's a lot that goes into it. Okay, and I'm talking about at spiritual levels, and I'm talking about stuff that I don't understand. But it's a fact that they practice all this kind of traditional stuff that goes way back, and they still practice that in that small town kingdom till today. And a lot of them are simply not going to be prepared enough for it. Okay, so it needs to be a special type of woman. They need to be pre-screened before they enter that palace or come even anywhere close to trying to sleep with this man. Let's even start with that. Okay, it's not simple. It's not your simple stuff like, oh, Shibu, you just married. Why can't he practice monogamy? It is polygamy. No, it's none of that. It's not that simple, okay? Remember, the OONI is a whole institution. It's no longer just that person you're looking at on the screen. Okay? There's no institution without people, right? It's ordained by the people to be that way. So it's not a situation where somebody is just spelling that out. It's something that it's highly revered and respected. Okay? So why would a woman want to leave OONI? Because at some point they will start to feel unsafe because they weren't raised. Most of them are not raised. They're not trained for royalty. Right? The same reason why, what's her name? What's the name of this girl? Meghan Markle could not last in the palace. In the palace in England. Same reason. Okay? It's not a matter of right and wrong. It's not a fit. Not only did they need to prescreen people, certain type of people, for that position of being the first wife representative, right, of the OONI of Ife, they needed to also make sure that they prescreen them, but they will be tested. They will see things that will shake. It's like there's just some secret stuff that is beyond the comprehension of most modern women. Okay? Why is OONI marrying so many wives? It's the only way to do it. Again, remember, we're not talking about the value of your village. Okay? That's not what we're talking about right now. We're not talking about a kingdom that just started 100 years ago. Okay? This is not your typical wife-husband relationship. There's a good chance that you won't see this man no more than 3 months total in the whole year for the rest of your life. Right? Oh, by the way, when you get tapped on the shoulder to come into that palace, to come and be a wife, the only thing you can think about is the glamour, right, of that type of position. That's all you can think about, right? It makes sense. It makes absolute sense, right? That's all you can think of as a woman, right? The fantasies of, wow, being in the palace, a whole me, a queen, right? But the reality kicks in later. So no, it couldn't be one wife. Not now. Maybe in 100 years, maybe to eventually become monogamy. That will be the order of the day, completely at that time. But for me personally, I don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon. And I think he tried to do that. All right. Sorry about that. Some of you are still live, I can see. So I'm in a hotel room and the whole thing went out. I think this is the time that I clocked in. So they do a reset every 24 hours. So sorry about that. All right. So anyway, I wanted to go ahead and start to round up anyway. You know, if you can see me, let me know you can still see me. Encourage me. Let me know you can still see me. It looks like you can still see me. But let's get back to what we're talking about real quickly. Let's see. All right, good. If you can see me, let me know you can still see me. But nonetheless, I'm just going to go ahead and continue what we're talking about here. So why is Oni marrying so many wives? Remember Oni, just remember the simple answer to that is the Oni is it's no longer a one person show. It's a whole institution, and especially going through what he had gone through recently with this lady serving him breakfast. The previous lady, this one right here, Zainab, also dumped him. It makes no sense for him to be putting so much energy, right? Putting so much energy behind one woman. It just makes no sense. Okay. For the rest of his life, he doesn't really own his own life, and no one is gonna become the wife of the Oni and own their own life. The people own them literally. Okay. Like I said, it's an old institution, and it is what it is. Now, excuse if you're hearing somebody sleeping next to me. Excuse that. We'll round up in a second. All right. So, the next question that I have here is: can each wife become lowly in that position? Not necessarily. Okay, if you understand the position, not necessarily. That position entails a lot of activities. You're not going to be lonely. Now, depends on what kind of lonely we're talking about too, right? So it depends. Okay, it depends on if you missed your way into that palace and you don't belong there. If you're an average modern wife or modern woman, yes, you may end up becoming lonely. But if you're someone that really understands, I'm understanding that this young lady that they just showed here, let me rewind a little bit. This one in the center, Ashley, that she's a person that seems to really, she's been around a lot longer, but she just officially got married. That she understands that position more. Let's hope so. But the key here is that the Oni, the Kabiyesi should not be waiting for one woman to. No. It should not be waiting. Okay, they should be easily replaceable. That's the magnitude of that throne. Okay. Now, if I wasn't married and I go on that show, I was about to say show, and I'm not Oni, so I'm not even comparing myself to that at all. With all due respect, but I'm saying though, he should not be waiting for one woman to become the one wife or anything like that. People should be earning that position, especially that we know that most women nowadays are modern and they're just not built for that type of. They're not built for that world, right? Is the modern woman trained to be a queen? No, the modern woman is trained to be independent. And any man and woman who doesn't understand this will continue to fall on their face when it comes to being unequally yoked. Okay? It's an understanding. It's an understanding that you just need to have. It doesn't mean you can't successfully have a marriage. Obviously, you can. But you need to understand that the modern woman is not trained or built to be, quote unquote, a queen from a traditional monarchy standpoint. They're built to be independent. Okay, to take care of themselves, especially from a mindset standpoint. Okay, the reality is still far different. Okay, now what happens to people that serve Igbakeji Orisha breakfast? What happened to these people, right? Anybody who serve the Igbakeji Orisha, which is something that we call the second in command to the deity, right? Igbakeji Orisha. What happened to women that serve them breakfast this time and age? Well, nothing. Remember, it's the modern age. Nothing can happen to them. They'll be fine. They'll be just fine. You know, nothing can happen to them. So that's what I have for you today. I just wanted to profile this. I've seen a lot of people having conversations around it like it's just another day. There's some things that are applicable, okay, to us normal people, and I want to share that with you, okay. Some things are applicable, and I'm going to extract them from this news. Shout out to you, Oyade. Let me see what she says. She says, Alake is very educated but has one wife. Oni seems a bit unstable with all due respect. Who is Alake? Alake is not Oni. And I mentioned, it looks like you just came in. Alake and Oni, they are not on the same level by any stretch of your imagination. Right? So, if you look at the way you just structured that sentence too, you structured that like Alake is a person. Oni is not a person, it's a whole institution. So the context is quite different, Now the Oni, the person, might be unstable. He may not have understood completely, right? He may not have understood completely the magnitude of that position. He may have been thinking of himself as Alake or Deji of Akure or Oshemawe of Ondo. These are not the same things. Those are first-class kings. There's no question about that. But this is not just a king. This is Igbakeji Orisha. So I hear you though. That does not justify his instability. No, he wasn't prepared for this position. Precisely my point. So we're agreeing on that, but he wasn't necessarily prepared for this position. That's why it's all over the place. But I guarantee you there are people working behind the scenes right now to stabilize that. That's why you see them marrying 4 wives in one day. Right? They just started to take their attention completely off of one person, because this institution is not about any one person. It's that big, and it's just an understanding, right? But anyway, I saw this news on Leader. Shout out to you, Oyade, for engaging me. Thank you. Leadership.ng, Oni of Ife to marry 2 more wives, right? Indications have emerged that the Oni of Ife, Obadieye Enitan Ogunwusi, has concluded plans to marry 2 more wives weeks after getting married for the 4th time to Olori Miriam Anako from Ibira. Yeah, I think that's in Kogi State. It was gathered that the revered monarch will further be getting married to Toby Phillips and Ashley Adegoke soon, right? Toby Phillips is a graduate of marine science from the University of Lagos and a former beauty queen. That's another person. I don't know what that person looks like. It was initially speculated that she will be replacing Olori Zainab Uraola, who walked away from her marriage to the Osun monarch. Right? That's the first one who walked away. The one you're looking at on the screen is his first wife before he became a king. Right? And the Oni eventually married prophetess, that's the one you're looking at the screen, Silakunla Naomi. But the marriage that was blessed with Prince Tadenikawo Ogunwusi ended in December 2021. She literally just packed her luggage one day and walked out of the palace. Literally. There's nothing that speaks modern wife more than that. Now, she has her reasons. Like I said, most modern women could not possibly be prepared out of nowhere to be able to go into that space. Okay? Not especially if they're a prophetess coming from the Church of Christ world, that type of stuff. It's just 2 worlds apart. It didn't make any sense from day one, okay? But what do we all know? All we can do is wait to see how it happened, and we've seen it, right? She literally walked out of that palace, okay? Queen Ashley, on the other hand, is a chartered accountant and currently runs an NGO that caters to less privileged kids and widows through the Ashley Adegoke Foundation. She has a master's degree in accounting and finance from the University of Greenwich, and currently runs her business in the United Kingdom. Interesting, right? That's interesting. That doesn't mean they're not prepared, right? We'll find out later too, right? Then also, I will say this: they not only should they be prepared before they enter that palace, they should have more preparations, more things to learn when they enter the palace in terms of what comes with the life of a queen in that palace, especially a first queen, right? It was further gathered that an invitation to the traditional wedding of Ashley Adegoke, also princess from the Lafogido royal house, is already in circulations. Okay, this is old news, by the way, because what we're hearing is that all of this has happened already. Actually, it has. I know that Ashley already got married. I saw some videos. It will be recalled that Ife high chiefs had made it clear in one of the traditional weddings of the monarch that the OONI, by virtue of his status, is a polygamist. Okay? Okay. All of us you married will give you peace of mind. That's a quote from OONI's first wife, who prays for him. Okay, this is in premiumtimesng.com. That's the new first wife. What's her name again? Miriam. That's the new first wife. Let me see. Oyade says, actually, I'm around these folks a lot when I'm in Nigeria. Oh, I hear you. They're these folks, right? Yeah, the folks, the persons. But it's all good. He needs a woman that was bred for royal. That's what I'm saying. Oh, okay. That's Ampan says. Yeah, he needs a woman who is prepared for that. Is the point, Oyade? I don't know if you listen. These are humans at the end of the day. The point is that this kingdom, particularly, is not about any one human being. It's just not. Right? So the idea that somebody's just going to have preference and say, I'm just going to be a monogamist. No, it's not that. Maybe it's simple like that in Deji of Akure or Alaki of Ake, which I know, yes, is a powerful king, first class in Nigeria. Actually, one of the main six or something that came out of the Ife kingdom, right? If you know that history, right? I know this, but it's not the same thing as Ile-Ife kingdom. It's just not. Okay? It's just not. But anyway, I hear you. Let's keep going here. Queen Miriam acknowledged his other wives while praying for peace in their household. A modern woman cannot pray that kind of prayer. It's just not feasible. Okay? It's not feasible. Okay? When the OONI of Ife, Eniton Ogunwusi, marked his 48th birthday over the weekend, that's this last weekend, his first wife, Miriam Ogunwusi, prayed for peace upon him and his other wives. Okay? Miss Miriam, whom he married in September, 9 months after Shilakunwola, Naomi's ex-wife, confirmed the end of their 3-year marriage, acknowledged his other wives. Okay? So again, we're calling this wives and all this kind of like, this is not your typical, it's not like any other day. Now, what I think we should learn from this, okay, is that when you ascend certain status, right, you just don't know what you don't know until you're in it. The same thing is applicable in marriage. You don't know what you don't know until you're inside of it, right? In fact, the first 2 years is going to be just tests. It's just full of tests all over the place. Everything you ever believed in will be tested. And by no means am I even liking what happens in marriage to what happens. Like, we're talking about 1000x more if we're to compare that to what would happen in the Ile-Ife kingdom, being a wife of an OONI of Ife. But nonetheless, just for the lessons, we can make that comparison. You're never really prepared enough for it, especially considering the modern times and the changes. In fact, I would argue that most men are not prepared. In fact, the topic I think I'm going to cover tomorrow is about how he lost his wife after they moved to Yankee. Right? Most men getting married don't really understand the nature of women. And by that, I mean typical women. Right? They're playing the transaction game. Did you see that question that I posted to the community page? I said, is marriage a transaction? Majority of the answer says yes. We need to unpack that. The answer may be correct, may be wrong, but we need to unpack that. Right? So when you say transaction, exactly what is the currency? What exactly are you exchanging? What's the value of the goods or whatever you're exchanging? Because it's exchange of value of some sort, right? But when there's miscommunication in what type of value we're talking about, it's not going to work. And we've seen that example not only with Olori Queen Zainab, we saw that with Olori Queen Naomi, right? Now we would hope that, okay, the rest of them have learned and they're going in there determined they will never leave. My prediction is that somebody's going to leave still. But also my prediction is that the kingdom, the monarchy has learned, right, to not make unnecessary noise about any one particular Olori. If they left, they left. It probably won't make the news. There's probably about another 15 in the palace when anyone leaves. That's my prediction. But the idea that somebody's still not going to leave, somebody's still going to leave. Again, an average woman that's born in these times are not set up. Right? A lot of them, listen, I know some kings too, right, that are doing the modern thing. Some of them, they said, I've seen some say, I'll never do the traditional stuff. I'm not going to do it, and I'm going to be the king, and that's it. Yeah, some of them are like that, and they don't touch the traditional stuff. But they're not Ile-Ife. Ile-Ife is a spiritual kingdom. The size of the whole town is like a few streets over. Okay? It's not that big. It's a small town still. It's not politically strong. It's not economically strong. It's spiritually strong. Meaning they continue to do all the traditional stuff that you modern people, you modern lots, would call weird today. They continue to do all those things. You're not set up for that. Right? You're not gonna make it. Okay? After the first few weird dreams, right, you're not gonna make it.
Stop the cap.
Right? So that's what is going on, in my opinion. That's what's going on. It's not, yes, it could be attributed to the fact that this gentleman who became the Ikubabaye of Yoruba land may not have been well prepared for this, right? It's I think it's the last person in his family to become a king was like 4 generations ago. He's the Ojaja 2. The Ojaja one is like 4 generations ago. Let me actually look that up real quick. Let me see. OONI of Ife. OONI of Ife. So I don't think he was prepared, but also I'm saying he couldn't be prepared. That's also what I'm saying, that he couldn't really possibly be that much prepared because he was born into these times that we live in. I think he was a real estate guy. He was trying to do a normal modern. He got married, white wedding, right? There are many towns in Yoruba land that will get away with this. They would just say, I'm not doing the traditional stuff, but I want to be Oba. And the old town, the chief are probably already elder in a church somewhere. So yeah, it's not necessary anymore. There are many, many first-class kings like that in Yoruba land right now that can get away with that. Not yet, Ile-Ife. We're not there yet. Maybe a minimum of another 25 to 50 years before you can do that in Ile-Ife. And I doubt if it will ever happen. Because believe it or not, there are people born in these modern times that are going back, again, shout out to Franklin, to practice Ifa, to practice worshiping Ifa and doing the traditional Yoruba religion. There's more and more of them, right? The last person was let's see, 1, 2, 3. The Ojaja one was, he's Ojaja. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see. That was 1878 to 1880. He was there for 2 years. That's how many generations ago? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 generations ago. This was back in late 1800s. So he's been raised, his whole family, his father, his grandfather was probably raised like they knew they were royalty, a royal family, but they weren't exactly in it like that. It's when he gets into it that they will now start showing him some things like, oh, I have to do that. Oh, we have to do that. Oh, that one too. I'm a Christian. He's still like, I was watching a video today, him singing in the church. They went to dedicate their son in church, right? He's open. They're open to go to church, to mosque, and be involved with everybody because everyone, they're king over everybody, right? But in terms of completely neglecting the Yoruba tradition and religion, the traditional stuff, no, not Ile-Ife. Not yet. It's not yet time. We're not there yet. Maybe the next generation, because he's a young man. Hopefully, right? Hopefully he's 100 years old in that office. Maybe he's going to be there for another 50 years, right? Maybe in 50 years, the next king of Ile-Ife will now say, squash all of this, I only want one wife. And maybe at that time, maybe the modern times would have really made their way into the Ile-Ife kingdom at that time. But no, I'm sorry, not yet. Not yet. So that's something I don't think it was well prepared for. A lot of young king are coming to the scenes, and some of them are practicing modern things. Yes, I agree with that. One of them is the king of my own village, Usho, in our local government area in Ondo State. It's a young man like myself, like my age, like 40, 42-ish, right? And many of them, obviously, the more the generation comes, the more of modern way of doing things we'll continue to see. But this particular town is too spiritual, and they're probably going to be the last on that list. Okay, so that's what I have for you today. We wanted to keep this very, very short, and I'll come back tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to do another 1 hour session from maybe about 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 8, okay, New York time. That's Arioru night time with the people in the United Kingdom. I'm sure you guys will be watching this in the morning. I'm sure I said 1 or 2 things that are incorrect, okay? So please make sure in the comment area that you correct it, okay? And I wanna learn more from what you might know about these things, and then we can take it from there, right? So hopefully you've been enlightened and educated. I'll see you on the next one, and peace.